Hello, viewers. My name is Zach Hardy, and this is my NXT Takeover Chicago review. Before I get into that, I'd just like to point out to every single person that's questioned me on how long my microphone allows me to go, presumably to this back wall. Hope that brings joy to your day. Anyway, aside from that, we have business to take care of, and that business takes the form of NXT Takeover Chicago. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't see the entire show when it started. I ended up having to take about an hour to watch it over again. And for some reason, I was not able to see Eric Young and Roderick Strong in the opening match. So I'll have to kind of give my best thought on, I guess, the result of that match. But from then on, I missed like the first 5 minutes of the UK Championship match, and I rewatched that. And I had to rewatch everything just to see if maybe I missed something. But overall, the show had its strong points and the show had its weak points, much like many other wrestling shows that come along the way. I thought there was, I guess, an equal amount of strong and weak points excuse me, in the show. Typically there was, each match was either a strong point or a low point, or a high point or a low point for me. And I guess missing the first part of the show kind of made me a little worried as to when I was going to be able to put this review out. But thankfully I was able to live stream it. Overall, I thought that they did some interesting things with this special. I think the typical, opening the match with probably the least cared about match on the card was, a typical NXT thing to do. I thought that was interesting. I'm sorry, not interesting. I thought that was, interesting to see them keep going with it. I would have thought they would have opened with a UK Championship match or something other than that. But they actually didn't. So that was something that, it was something that I guess was better. They were better off doing, saving the UK Championship match until later on in the show, or at least a match later. Aside from that, the idea of them having the UK Championship match on an NXT card, in NXT Takeover card, I thought that was pretty interesting. And since they both delivered in a very big way, I'm hoping that they'll continue this going forward. Aside from that, I thought them having the tag team championship matches as the main event was a little different. I thought a number of things could have happened. We could have gotten a championship change. We could have gotten a DIY split up. We could have gotten, a debut. Let's say Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Something like that. We did get one of the three. But, them doing things a little bit differently. I liked some of the things that they did. I didn't like some of the things that they did. But, we can just get into the card. I've done enough rambling. Sorry. I have done more than enough rambling. So we start out with the opening match to the card. Sorry, I had to move the thing. We have Roderick Strong versus Eric Young and the rest of Sanity, other than Nikki Cross. I didn't get to see this match, as I said before. I thought it was an interesting... I thought it was an interesting thing to see, that now that Ty Dillinger's gone, Eric Young is kind of taking his anger out on, excuse me, somebody other than, or somebody that helped Ty Dillinger at, I think I may have called him Ty Young, somebody that helped Ty Dillinger at Orlando, so he was kind of taking out his frustrations against Roderick Strong now. I thought that was an interesting little change and, swing of things. But aside from that, not really. I wouldn't have even been very intrigued by the match if I had watched it live. I think just having it on the card as the opener was kind of like, I guess, a good way, because Eric Young and Roderick Strong would be the ones to put on a good match with each other. So you would have a decent start to the show. but I just didn't care about the show, the match enough. And on top of that, I was late to watch the show. And on top of that, I wasn't able to watch the match over again. I may or may not watch it over again, when my WWE network decides to stop being a dick. But aside from that, Roderick Strong beats Eric Young. Excuse me. I guess it's good to see that Sanity is not like yet another monster in NXT, because you already have Razor and Akam, the authors of Pain, and you already have Asuka as two, unbeatable forces that have yet to be beaten. So I like, having weakness in Sanity. Perhaps this could go into an idea of, they're crazy enough to the point where they can lose themselves matches. I like the idea of Sanity having flaws, and not just their big one and only flaw being the fact that they're fucking insane. So yeah, there's that. I'm glad they're giving Roderick Strong a push. I still don't feel like fans are behind him enough. I think they're getting behind him, but time will tell. So the next match we get into is the UK Championship match, and in my opinion, sorry, in my opinion, match of the night. I think that it was an interesting thing to. Hold on. My apologies. I thought it was an interesting thing to do the UK Championship defense on a Takeover show. You have, especially in Chicago, like if it was a Takeover in London or Scotland, I thought that maybe that would be more, that would make more sense. But having it in Chicago with fans who more than likely haven't seen too much of Tyler Bate, they more than likely seen a bit of Pete Dunne, but not too much of Tyler Bate. Perhaps it could have swung the favor in one performer's direction rather than the other. But honestly, I thought that the crowd would rip into this match, and they really didn't. And the match was solid from start to finish. It started out slow, but it gained momentum all the way through at the end. Had people chanting things like UK, same two letters over and over again. It had them saying things along the line of fight forever. The constant "oh" chants over and over and over again. So I like this match. Probably the match of the night, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely the match of the night, in my opinion. At least, because I hadn't seen Roderick Strong and Eric Young. So I'm going to say, obviously, again, this match is the match of the night. And I like the direction they have with Pete Dunne as the new UK champion. I would like to see that championship end up on SmackDown. Raw has, the Cruiserweight division. Perhaps SmackDown could have the UK division. Sorry. So, yeah, I like the idea of the Bruiserweight having the UK Championship around his shoulder. I think that this could be a great feud, a must-watch feud that really launches the UK division. I think it's very interesting to see what they'll do with the Pete Dunne Tyler Bate feud. I don't think it's over. I want it to continue. I think they'll continue having great matches, and I think this 16, 17-minute match at NXT Takeover could help get them a 20-minute, 25-minute match in their next contest between each other. So I'm really liking the fact that they pulled it off, and I really like the fact that it gave the UK division some strong legs, and a strong foundation to build upon. So that's my thought on that. Next match we get into, probably my least favorite match of the night. And obviously, I'm going to be called sexist by some people because it's the women's match. It's the NXT Women's Championship match. Asuka, Ruby Riott, and Nikki Cross. First off, I like the look of Ruby Riott. Obviously as someone who is into alternative rock and someone who is into, or has been into, a few punk bands from, here and there. I like the look that Ruby Riott has. I like that she doesn't look like every other woman on the roster, as the typical I want to be champion. She's not like the typical woman that you usually see. She's got tattoos, she's got piercings, she's got black lipstick, and she's got kind of shorter hair. While you see like girls like Charlotte and Sasha Banks and Bayley and Alexa Bliss and Carmella and Summer Rae and so on and so forth that have long hair and very few tattoos and virtually no piercings, and just they're all glitz and glamour. They have makeup and everything like that. Ruby Riott is just gritty, and she's just a punk rock chick, punk rock girl. You're for me, punk rock girl. Okay. I like the idea that, or the look that she has. I like what it could go towards in the future. Aside from that, I'm not too big into her yet. Even though I like her look and I want to get behind her, she doesn't really have too much of a character built down. She's energetic. She can go in the ring. She's one of those high-flying females, but I don't really have much reason to care about her. And when you look at me, someone who likes the look of a girl that's different and who likes the idea of, tattoos and piercings and shit and punk rock and and everything, when you don't have someone like me behind her, how are you going to get the average fan that likes, their women, stripped of all tattoos, no piercings, long hair, into pop and shit? How are you going to get those typical modern fans into that character when you can't even get me so far into the character just based on look alone? I think there needs to be a real good story behind Ruby Riott that can get me to really invest into her. I don't think she's ready for NXT champion. I'm sorry. I go NXT championship, correct myself to NXT tag team championship before any other one. Anyway, I feel like she's not ready for the NXT women's championship shots yet. She needs a feud with. I mean, if I was booking Ruby Riott, where did Rose come from? If I was booking Ruby Riott, I would have her face someone like Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan's a long blonde-haired, pretty like modelish, model-worthy woman. She could go into a photo shoot and be adored by everybody. Everybody would be falling for her. She's a typical, hot chick that a guy would like. And Ruby Riott's, I mean, I'm not going to call her, unattractive. I mean, she's, pretty, but she's not like what every guy would like. Liv Morgan's a guy that every guy would like. Ruby Riott's not. So maybe Ruby Riott goes heel, attacks Liv Morgan because Liv Morgan is, I don't know. She's pissed off that Liv Morgan embodies what a typical woman is while she's, while she's herself. And that could give her a good heel run, or a good heel persona. They could have a match at Takeover, wherever it may be, whatever it ends up going to. And that could get some investment behind her as a heel. And then let's say Asuka loses it to Ember Moon. Ember Moon could face Ruby Riott, and so on and so forth. Two weird chicks, whatever. That'd be the kind of feud that I would think Ruby Riott would definitely be able to get some heel notice from and some people behind her. I don't think she's ready yet. Nikki Cross, overall, she and Eric Young are the only two people in the Sanity that I care about. I love Sanity as a group, but Killian Dane hasn't done anything. Alexander Wolf hasn't done anything, and what was his name? Fucking Sawyer Fulton. I think he was kicked out. So, yeah. I don't really know what to think about Nikki Cross. She's branching out into her own. She is, the kind of crazy chick that someone like me would get behind. But aside from that, I think she plays second fiddle to Asuka. They're obviously trying to do something between Ember Moon and Asuka. I'd much rather have it be something between Nikki Cross and Asuka, because Nikki Cross is miles better than Ember Moon, in my opinion. Aside from that, I think, Nikki Cross should not have won the championship tonight. I would have liked her to win it at the next Takeover. That'll more than likely be a spot given to Ember Moon, but NXT will do whatever NXT wants to do. The best thing we can do is try to influence what they do, and because they're not really WWE as a whole, they will more than likely listen to what we want and try to fix whatever holes they have. And Asuka, I'm confused. I don't know whether this is a heel turn, brewing, or whether this is just fuck. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Yeah, I'm trying to think, and I can't wrap my mind around exactly what Asuka is supposed to be. Is she supposed to be a face? She's supposed to be a heel, or supposed to be a tweener? All I know right now is that I'm kind of getting bored of the championship reign. I'm not too much behind Asuka as the champion anymore. I mean, she has been the champion since 2015. Or no, 2016. Was it NXT TakeOver Dallas? That was like Toronto or something. No, wait, what? Wait, I think it was Dallas. But didn't Bayley fight at Brooklyn too? Yeah, I think Bayley fought at Brooklyn too in August before coming up. All right, so that's where things went. Okay, so she's been champion for about a year now, I guess, not 2 years. But I think it's becoming stale now. Like I don't really care for Asuka too much. I don't really. I mean, I like her. She doesn't really have a character. I like the fact that she kicks ass and that she's very, she's pretty much the original unstoppable force in NXT. But I mean, her championship run has, in my opinion, overstayed its welcome. I think either Ember Moon or Nikki Cross should have taken that title. I think Ember Moon should have taken that title last Takeover. And if anything, Nikki Cross should have won it here tonight. But aside from the competitors, the match was pretty slow and a little all over the place. Obviously women can have better wrestling matches than men and whatever, but the majority of the time with me, the women tend to be a little bit more skewered all over the place. I think men are a little bit more cautious with their in-ring work. I think women just kind of go head into it. And many times it works, but there are times where it looks a little sloppy. I think Ruby Riott is a little green, in my taste. For I don't think she's completely green as a performer. I think she's green as in NXT championship taste. NXT Women's Championship taste. Aside from that, it was kind of a sloppy three-way dance or triple threat. And it wasn't really my cup of tea. It was kind of a letdown for me. The ending was confusing. I believe it was Ruby Rose kicking Nikki Cross in the face or something like that, and then Asuka bounced off the ropes. And even though Ruby Riott had the pin for longer than 3 seconds, the count was slow, and Asuka kicked Ruby Riott in the face. I think I said Ruby Rose again. She kicked Ruby Riott in the face and pinned them both and retained the women's championship. So Asuka's reign continues. Ember Moon will take it next Takeover, maybe, probably. And yeah, that's that. Next, we get into the NXT Championship match, and it is Hideo Itami versus Bobby Roode, the defending champion. I'll be honest, I didn't start watching NXT until NXT Takeover Unstoppable. When I watched Unstoppable back in, I think it was June of 2015, May of 2015, Hideo Itami was supposed to be in a three-way match, triple threat with Finn Balor and Tyler Breeze for the number one contendership for the NXT Championship. And Hideo Itami got injured right before that. He injured his shoulder. And it became Finn Balor versus Tyler Breeze. And Finn Balor won and then went on to win the NXT title at Beast in the East. And so that was that. After that, I didn't really hear anything of Hideo Itami since Beast in the East because he was in the crowd. And then he was out for a while. And then I think he came back in January at San Antonio. Yeah, I think he kicked the shit out of Austin Aries or something like that. And I didn't see him again. And I was like, well, where the fuck did he go? Oh, well. And I just found out tonight that he was injured again. So I went, well, if this is the guy that we're going to be putting in a NXT championship feud, I'm sorry for this review being terrible. I'm tired. Then I guess we should, be cautious of how his body handles the pain or whatever. And I'm not too big into Hideo Itami. I haven't seen enough of him to really be interested in him. I don't know if he's charismatic or if he's good on the mic. He seemed good in the ring, but a lot of what his maneuvers were strikes. I wasn't too invested in this match because I didn't really know anything about Hideo Itami other than he used to be Kenta, and he got hurt. It was like out for about 2 years. So, yeah, that was that. And I was pretty much rooting for Bobby Roode because, again, I didn't know much about Hideo Itami. Now, I know guys like the Lexman and whoever are into Hideo Itami. They've been watching NXT longer than I have. But they've had the opportunity to watch him. I've obviously had the opportunity. I could have gone back and watched NXT, but I was lazy. So I wasn't really too big into Hideo Itami to start with the match. So I was hoping that Bobby Roode would win so that way I'd have more opportunity to get into Hideo Itami and what he does. And yeah, that was that. The match was all right. It was average. Meh. If I had to rate it, I'd give it 3 out of 5 stars. But it wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't really enjoy the match. But I didn't hate the match. It was pretty much smack dab in the middle. I didn't really have too many thoughts on it. Aside from the fact that Hideo Itami looked decent. And Bobby Roode, most of his matches tend to play into the fact of somebody gets hurt and he capitalizes on that injury, or he gets hurt and he has to fight through the injury. So I was a little annoyed that happened for a third time. I really hope it doesn't happen for a fourth time because that would be a little too, annoying. So, yeah, that's that. Excuse me. Bobby Roode wins, retains the NXT Championship. Good for him. Hope he does something of note before the next Takeover show. I believe it's before SummerSlam. Yeah, Brooklyn 3. So, yeah, I'll look forward to that. And aside from that, that's about it. That's all I really have to say on that. What else was I going to say about that? I was going to say something else. Oh, Bobby Roode's. Excuse me. I have the hiccups now. Bobby Roode's piano entrance was pretty interesting. They had it was kind of like the Synthesia thing where it's like the bubbles come down and they hit the piano keys, so it's like I like that. It reminded me of those apps that I would use to kind of practice piano. So that was pretty interesting. But aside from that, yeah, cool. Let's see. Was it the next match? Was the last match, right? It was the NXT Tag Team Championship match, and not much to talk about the match itself. There were some good spots, but it was the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor. That were defending the tag team championships against DIY. I'll always call them Gargano and Ciampa. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Or at least it won't have to for much longer. So the match was all right. There were great spots, like both of DIY almost breaking their necks, and Johnny Gargano almost breaking his neck to save Ciampa's neck, and both hanging from the belt loop at the top and being just power bombed into smithereens by the Authors of Pain. So there was that, and Authors of Pain retain. Gargano and Ciampa are in the middle of the ring, and they walk out of the middle of the ring or out of the ring, and you're like, okay, thank God. And then the little logo at the bottom of the screen plays, whichever side, whichever one. It's like copyright C, 2017, NXT, property or whatever. And so you think everything's all right, and then Ciampa says something to Gargano. Gargano says something back to Ciampa. Ciampa says something back to Gargano, and he's like, whatever, and he pulls him around and he runs him into the LED wall. And it's at this point where when they start turning around and they see Ciampa with Gargano, they go, "Oh, shut up!" And Gargano gets run into the LED board, and then Gargano gets hit with 2 knee strikes by Ciampa onto the where they end up falling onto the commentary booth or platform. And at that point, you're hearing chants like "Fuck you, Ciampa," and I think I heard a couple people from the left going, "Why? And it was at this point where usually what ends up happening, like after they've won the match or whatever, Gargano puts his head on Ciampa's shoulder or whatever, and it was at this point where Gargano was like on his side and Ciampa was sitting down, and Gargano had his head on Gargano's like left leg, and he was like, dude, he's glassy-eyed and everything like that, trying to get in contact with Ciampa, like ask him why or whatever, but he was out of it. And it was that moment where you saw like Gargano's glassy-eyed, everything like that, like the face and everything like that, leaning on Ciampa. Is at that point where you're like, oh, this is where it tugs at the heartstrings. And then Ciampa picks up Gargano, lifts him onto the commentator's table, and hits a, well, I call it half Samoan drop, but people call it other things. It's white noise. Sheamus does the white noise, so I'll call it the white noise for WWE fans. Through a boatload of tables next to the commentator's table, and Gargano's wreathing in pain, and Ciampa gets on the table and just hangs his legs off the side, looking down at Gargano, and it closes. So DIY splits up. Ciampa turns heel. Gargano is the face. This feud's going to be amazing. Hopefully they do it right. Preferably Ciampa bringing up the Psycho Killer gimmick. That would be amazing. And Gargano just being Johnny Wrestling will be another amazing thing to see. So with that being said, interesting way to close out NXT TakeOver Chicago. I'll give it 3.5 stars. I'd give it 3 stars, but the UK Championship earned it another half star. So that being said, for WWE NXT TakeOver Chicago, was it worth the $10 a month to watch this show? It was $10. For the UK title match and for the DIY split up, I'll say yes. So there's that. Would I go and watch the entire show over again? Probably not. But with that being said, I know this was a very lackluster review. I'll be back for Backlash tomorrow night. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. I'm Zach Hardy. Signing off.